I call on stage the first of the two speakers. They're actually sharing the stage one after the other. And this gentleman is a principal at Gimv, and he's called Matthias Vandepitte.
Thank you, Jan. Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jan. Very happy to be here. We're going to start to say something about Gimv, introduce Gimv, and then my colleague Robert, who's standing there already, is going to say something more about what we can mean for you as an entrepreneur. So Gimv, we've been around since 1980 for a PVC firm. That's quite a lot. We are a diversified investment company with a strong track record both in venture capital and private equity. What makes us a bit of a special animal is the fact that we are listed on Euronext Brussels, and we have about 1.8 billion euros under management. That also includes third-party funds that we manage. And we have about 90 employees in 4 offices. Those offices are spread over Benelux, The Hague, and Antwerp. And then we have another office in Paris and one in Munich. A diversified portfolio, as I mentioned, roughly about 85 companies. And what I would like to really stress is maybe what makes us a bit different than those other venture capital firms that are present. We're funding from a very strong balance sheet. So that means that we have probably a bit more flexibility in the instruments we can apply in our investments, but also in exit timing. We are not tied to the typical fund structure of a closed-end fund. We are an evergreen fund, which makes it, in some cases, much more attractive for young companies to partner with us. We are very active in our portfolio companies, not only in the board level, but also as a very active sounding board to the management. And we have an international reach with this local presence in these 4 offices that I mentioned. Since last summer, we have refocused the company on 4 dedicated investment platforms, which you can see right here. Let me very briefly go over them. The first one is Consumer 2020, anything that's relating to the consumer, let's say the consumer needs of the future. That's all of our B2C activities. Health and care, I think that speaks for itself. And then 2 platforms which are very relevant, I think, to clean tech. First one, smart industries. Anything where technology and engineering is a strong driver of a company. And then the 4th one, which I'm a member of, is sustainable cities. You think of utilities, waste, construction, and logistics, anything that drives the future cities. Very important for entrepreneurs as well. What is our sweet spot? We will invest equity tickets ranging from 3 million to 30 million euros, both minority and majority positions. 3 million euros is the first ticket we want to do, but it is always our intention to put more money to work over time. So you could say that we are a bit of certainly a more late-stage venture capital fund. Main focus is on Benelux, France, and Germany, our home countries, but certainly also the flexibility to invest outside of the home markets, certainly in earlier technology firms when the asset is really unique. But we think it's a strong advantage to have this local presence. So now I'm going to introduce Robert, my colleague from my Munich office, who's going to tell something more about what we can really do for the companies.
Perfect. Thank you, Matthias. Hi, everybody. So we wanted to leave a few thoughts with you, highlighting different aspects. One, what type of companies are we looking for? What are the right companies to engage with us? At the same time, those thoughts should also be food of thought for you to re-question how you're running your business, how it could be even better. And we also want to highlight how we can help you in those aspects and what specific skills and assets at Gimv are, which help here. So here, the first one, innovative advantage. So we really look in all our activities, be it VC or private equity investments, for innovation-driven companies. And we don't mean by innovation only your IP or what you do in your R&D department. It really starts with a business model. It goes through the R&D roadmap, and it is also about innovative go-to-market approaches. And we really look for companies who keep their focus on innovation. And we think we have several ways we can help with this. At Gimv, first of all, we have quite a large base. So we're in total almost between 80 to 90 employees with back office and over 35 investment professionals from very different backgrounds. So we think we really will find somebody in the organization who understands your technology, who understands your innovation, and can drive it forward together with you. And we also, as Matthias highlighted, are a stock-listed company. So we can take a long-term view. We always can think about driving innovation forward in a long-term perspective due to our evergreen investment structure and the stock listing. I brought a few examples from our portfolio, which I wanted to highlight. One is the company Ori. It's an Israel-based company in LED. Ori designs like credit card size lighting modules on very innovative LED basis, planar and very flat, very homogeneous. It's a company that never stopped continuing the R&D roadmap. And it helped the company when it went into a difficult situation because it started on the display backlighting, which went into direction or took a direction by the large corporates which didn't fit anymore Ori's technology. And having such a strong R&D base, the company was able to reposition itself completely and go into the general lighting market, which it's addressing now very successfully. Another one is GreenPeak. It's a company which has low-powered RF chips on Zigbee basis. It's one example for a successful market entry by constantly innovating and thinking about innovative go-to-market approaches. The company originally started with the idea to be in the smart home and is still very much going in that direction, but successfully managed to ramp production and scale production and everything they do by starting on consumer electronics. They're now selling millions of devices into remote controls, which don't need a line of sight anymore, and which use their low-power RF chips, for example, to allow customers not to change the battery in the entire lifetime of the consumer electronics device. Last one here, Novo Polymers, a Belgian company active in solar encapsulation material, in polymer foils, which go into the module production of PV companies. Here, a company which, of course, today faces the very difficult market conditions in PV. Two innovations which were very important and continue to be important in the success, completely, basically reinvented their business model from completely in-house production to outside partnerships with producers in China at the moment, and also continuously further developing the product to be successful in such a difficult market. The next one, strategic focus on capturing value. So here I think very much about processes we try to instill in our portfolio companies, and we try to drive forward and really get a constant focus on those processes. First of all, strategy. For us, strategy is not only the point in time when you write your business plan and you set off your business. It's really a constant process to rework the strategy, to look at what is happening in the market, and to adjust yourself. And we try to help very much with that, with external ideas, with everything we see in the market, with our large base of investment professionals. It's also about constantly questioning how do you capture really most of the value for your company in the entire value chain. So think about how is the value chain evolving and what can be done to get more value for your company, really. And then process side, constant financial monitoring. I think here's very much our PE background, which comes into play, which is maybe less familiar for the very early stage venture capital investors. But our PE side really helps us to drive those processes and start them at an early stage of companies to be then successfully also on the financial side. Increase efficiency over time, focus on margins from the very beginning. Again, here at Gimv, a really good partner. I think Matthias mentioned we're 30 years in this business. There's a lot of experience which has been gathered in our company. And it spans really across the venture capital from the early stage over private equity investments in small to mid-cap buyouts and even infrastructure investments, which become more relevant in the clean tech scene. The other side, just the size of Gimv's investment and the around about 85 participations give us a lot of examples and opportunities we can offer to new portfolio companies. and create new ideas and create new specific options. Here again, a few examples from the portfolio. P International, a software company, German-based in sustainability management software, was one where we had very intense discussions about their early globalization efforts, if you want to call it that way. They went very early on global through JVs and partnerships all across the globe. And when we stepped into this company, we consolidated a large number of partnerships and JVs into the company, took again 100% ownership to drive the processes I've mentioned of financial control and financial monitoring, and has proven to be a very successful step for the company. McPhy, a company which presented last year, active in hydrogen storage. That's where it started, really. Was a hydrogen storage technology from a French research institute. And over time, we've questioned very hard, together with management, the optimal value chain positioning. Today, the company is not only offering storage solutions anymore, but is offering full hydrogen supply solutions. So we endeavored into the hydrogen generation business. McPhy acquired a company in Italy called Peel at the end of last year, which has a very strong history in electrolyzers and now can offer consolidated systems to its client. And as the last one, Greenwatt, a biogas fermentation technology company, which started their go-to-market in a full EPC model, as you probably have to do to get your first installations on the ground. But now thinking through the strategy process very intensely, it moves into techno-sales models, where it tries to partner up with external EPCs who take on the risk and are much more knowledgeable about the whole entire EPC process, and really becomes a pure techno-sales model, very profitable and on a good track so far. And the last one, which is for us a very natural thing to think about as Gimv, the international reach. So we're ourselves a very international company with a strong European base across four countries in Europe. And we want companies who think at least as broad as we do, and also go outside of Europe and address really international markets. Several aspects here, trying to limit dependence, as we've heard, for example, this morning from Alois, from individual regulatory decisions, open up new markets, but also think about resources, human resources, ideas, and things you can capture abroad. Here, Gimv, again, well positioned from our perspective through the strong network we have in Europe and our links internationally outside of Europe through fund-of-fund investments, which we have in Russia, in Asia, and strong expert networks, which we open up to our portfolio companies to advance. Here are the examples, two from the private equity side, actually, VCST and PPT, two automotive suppliers, which we've invested in 3 and 4 years ago, which together with us have set up industrial production in China and also addressing customers there, ramping up very successfully in international markets, taking advantage of the growth in those regions. Again, McPhy, to mention, originally a French company when we invested, today a very broad European base with an office in Germany, with the electrolyzer company acquired in Italy, and of course addressing global markets, for example in Japan, but also elsewhere. And Govex, a company which is going to talk after me, active in electric scooters, with which we're today discussing in detail the distribution partnerships they're going to set up in the US and also in Asia, again here to address growing markets, but also markets who are already more willing, as in Asia, to accept electric mobility on a day-to-day level. And Greenwatt, the Belgian company I mentioned before, very successful leads today in Chile, quite far away, but a very solid project pipeline by addressing international markets. So those are the aspects we wanted to think you about. We wanted to highlight that this is what we're looking for, this is what we can help with, and if this rings a bell with you, if you feel this is the direction your company is going, then please talk to us, and let's see if we can become a partner in your business. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I want to mention one thing. I like this gentleman very much because he's a sponsor of Ecosummit. And he did something very important, showcasing one of the portfolio companies, Govex, that will talk after Fabienne. And I think that's my recommendation for the other VCs in the room. I think Ecosummit is a great marketing platform, not only for new deal flow, but for promoting existing portfolio companies, to find co-investors, follow-on investors, to convince press people, to find strategic partners, or increase the international reach. Do you have a question, Andreas?
Thanks. My question to you is, what is your strategy in emerging markets? I saw you have an engagement in Chile. You say project development, which is vague to me, so you might explain a little bit. But in general, what are you doing in regards to Asia, Africa, and other territories in Southern America?
Sure. So first of all, the specific question on Chile, that was an example from one of our portfolio companies. Yes. So it's not us as an investor going there. It's an example of how we push the portfolio companies to really think international and selling out of Belgium into, for example, in this case, biogas projects in Chile with local partners on the ground. So we build up fermentation, or Greenwatt, the portfolio company, is in the process of building up fermentation plants in Chile with local EPC partners. More broadly on Gimv, what we do on an international level, we see ourselves as, first of all, European investor. So we really address companies here out of Europe who have a substantial part of their operations, management, and history in Europe, but we want them to address international markets. And we try to build up our relationships through fund-of-fund investments on the one hand side. We have those in Israel, in Russia, and in Asia. And we build up expert networks. We have an Asian Advisory Council as one example, where we gather people from China, but also Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, and India to discuss with our portfolio companies potential market entries, to make introductions and introduce them to customers.
Great. Thank you very much for that. The clicker we need, yes. Wow.